Welcome to She Sells Radio. My guest today is one of the most talented individuals I have ever met when it comes to branding and visual design. And I met Nadine Hanafi years ago when we were both partnered with the same company. And at the time, I was in that kind of frustrating place that you may be able to relate to depending on your journey and whether you're in sales or whether you're an entrepreneur, maybe you have a vision of being an entrepreneur, but I was in that space where I knew I had a really good service, but I didn't feel like my brand reflected it. And so I was almost like embarrassed to go out and do presentations or share my brand materials because I knew they weren't doing me any favors. So maybe you can relate to that. But ask and it is given. And I had this desire to find something better. And shortly after I met Nadine, I got introduced to this most incredible product she had created called Digital Brand Kit, which I'll let her tell you a little bit more about today. But it's essentially this really, really cool plug and play system for female entrepreneurs to create gorgeous visual brand assets for a fraction of the cost of what they would pay a design firm, and also like look really great doing it. And so I've used her product for years now. I don't think she even knows this, but literally just recently, we pitched a bigger podcast for me to go on. And they came back to my team and said, you know what, normally we don't accept guest pitches, but your media kit was so impressive that we knew we had to make an exception for you. So this stuff works. And we're going to talk branding. We're going to talk visual identity. We're going to talk how to up-level your brand. Today, I want to give you just a little bit of context for who Nadine is outside of my own personal experience of her. And then I'll introduce her to come on. So Nadine Hanafi is the founder of an award-winning design firm called We Are Visual. She's the author of an internationally recognized book and training program called Slide Therapy, and the creator of, I would agree, the most epic branding system on the internet called Digital Brand Kit. She's a certified branding expert, a Fortune 100 design consultant, and professional cheerleader for women with big dreams. She has over a decade of experience working with C-suite execs at companies like Disney and Verizon, and working with best-selling authors like Lori Harder and Sarah Knight, helping them share their messages through inspired visual stories and head-turning visual branding. Nadine, welcome to She Sells Radio. I'm so glad to have you today.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
So, okay, I kind of shared my own place I was in my life when we connected, and it was like you came in and the branding angels sang and everything shifted for me. And I was like, this is an amazing product. And just knowing you and knowing some of the behind the scenes, like I know this has been a massive undertaking to create Digital Brand Kit and what you've created. But I want to hear about what led you to this. Like, where did you have the epiphany for this? What got you on your branding journey to start? And let's kind of lead it up to what led to the creation of Digital Brand Kit.
Well, that's a great question. There's many things that kind of fell into place and led me to this. The first thing is, first of all of these assets, everything inside Digital Brand Kit is made in PowerPoint. And so I have the first is the journey with PowerPoint, how, most people are building this stuff in Canva or Photoshop. I built it in PowerPoint, and for the simple reason that I was too lazy to learn Photoshop.
I appreciate your honesty. I mean, I tried to learn it once.
Yeah.
And I think I gave it maybe an hour and I was like, screw this. Like this is
3 minutes. So the story goes, my first and my last corporate job, I was a marketing manager, and the company I worked for needed more design help. And so they paid for me to take some courses online, and they got me a lynda.com subscription at the time. And so they were like, okay, so you're going to go learn Photoshop and all the design stuff. And so you can make, do design for us. I was like, great. I go in there, sign into lynda.com, go into the Photoshop 101 course, and I see it says 15 hours of video. And I was like, there's no way I'm sitting through 15 hours of video to learn Photoshop. But I was like, all right, they're paying me for me to do this. I have to do this. I start watching video 1, 3 minutes into video 1. I turn it off. I said, hell no, not happening.
Which, coming from someone with your background, I think it's like, we think we should just be able to master these things and like get it. Like, and I say we, meaning
Yeah.
the women who you primarily serve, right? So female
Yeah.
entrepreneurs and women
You have
building
to
their
do it
brand.
all.
Like, yeah, we should just be able to master this. It's almost reassuring to know that someone with your background looked at that and was like, no, there's just,
No.
I'm not wasting time.
No, and the truth is Photoshop is a beast of a tool that even professional designers with years of experience won't even use a fraction of all of the capability that it has. So you can imagine that as a business owner who's just trying to get some graphics made, it's way too much firepower than, more than you need. So so what happened is I just started wandering around lynda.com and I found just regular design courses that taught me design principles. And those were much more interesting to me because I was just discovering myself as a creative. I thought I was I was a business major. So I thought I was business, but I discovered this creative side of me and watching these courses. And then what I realized is simply all of those things that I was learning in those design courses, I could actually apply using PowerPoint, which was the only design tool that I knew how to use at the time. And so that is, I just hacked PowerPoint to, be able to do anything that I wanted to do for me. And so I used it to create brochures for the company I work for, one-pagers, graphics for websites, obviously presentations, which is what it's primarily designed for, but I was able to create all sorts of things out of it. And so mastering PowerPoint is really what led me to the journey to start We Are Visual, start serving clients, creating presentations for them. So that was my niche initially, is I created what I called artistic PowerPoint presentations. And I worked primarily with professional speakers. And so to circle back and answer your question, how Digital Brand Kit came up is I realized that many of my clients, when they would come to me, they didn't have branding or they didn't have great branding. And so I would have to create a beautiful visual identity for them in order to be able to create a beautiful presentation for them. And they would tell me, well, I really love what you did for my presentation. I love the way my presentation looks. Could you carry that over and create all of these other brand assets for me so that everything matches? And I was like, sure. So I started doing that. And then I realized, well, I could probably just package all of this up into templates that you could, use. And that's how I got on the journey to creating Digital Brand Kit. That's really how it came up. That's the origin story.
Gosh, the origin story. Yeah. And, we're going to talk like high level design principles today. We're going to talk brand principles today. So, regardless of whether somebody ends up using, I'll call it DBK from here, just for short, like regardless of what path someone goes down, they're going to get value. Yeah. It's great. It's like She Sells, though. I didn't think about it when I was naming the company. And anytime I go on a podcast interview now, they're like, she sells. You don't think about, right? Yeah. I'll call my own company SS. We'll call Digital Brand Kit DBK, right? We'll keep it clean. So we'll be talking higher level branding and design principles here as well too. But I think I do want to give you a little bit of time towards the end to talk about what DBK is, why it's different. Because to me, it's just so I think it's incredible. So what I would love to talk about first, though, is let's say that a woman is just starting off with her branding, or maybe she kind of like piecemealed it a little bit at the beginning and she's like, okay, I want to get a little more serious, but she's still in the early phases. What are some of the top mistakes that you see women make with their branding and visual identity?
Great question. So the most common thing that I see happening is that people go out and spend way too much money right off the bat to build their brand or to get a visual identity. And why I think that is a mistake is for many reasons. First is when you're just starting out in the personal branding space, your brand is going to be very fluid because you're still figuring yourself out, first of all, as a person in the personal branding space, but also as a professional in your niche or industry, right? Who are you? Who do you serve? And so you won't really get answers to those questions until you actually get into action, gain momentum, put yourself out there and let the market respond to you and tell you, yes, this is great. you're great, you're solving the right problem, everything is aligned, everything works, or it'll tell you, oh, you probably need to pivot here. You probably need to change your positioning, or you need to attract a different kind of people than what you're attracting right now. And so it may come in the form of you're attracting people who don't want to pay for your stuff. They're not seeing the value. Or it can come in the form of attracting a lot of freeloaders.
Never attracted that when I was first. That was everyone I attracted when I was first starting out. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's a common problem. So it's like, as you're doing this, as you're actually getting into action, you're figuring out all the things that you need to shift. And so wouldn't it be a shame if you went out and spent $30,000 for this beautiful custom brand, and then 6 months down the road, you realize this is not aligned for me. This is not working. It's not producing results. And then you just threw $30,000 out the window. That would hurt, right? And that's actually something that I see a lot happening.
I know people that's happened with too. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so the other problem that comes with that is if you are right away having somebody build all of your assets for you, then you're becoming reliant on outside help constantly. Mm-hmm. Every time you need to execute on any idea that comes to you in your business, you are always in a pattern of, I have an idea, I have to go find somebody to help me execute it. And so you're not able to execute on your ideas as quickly because there's always this delay of, I have to hire someone to create these graphics, back and forth emails, days, weeks, sometimes months. And you might end up giving up on some ideas that you just can't launch because you are not able to, get the help you need to launch it. So that's another thing I see. And then the other one is DIYing, but like DIYing the wrong way, right? And piecemealing.
Did that.
Yeah, piecemealing. That happens a lot. Is okay. Well, I'm going to just get some templates on Canva, free templates for social media. I'm going to go on Creative Market, buy some, Canva templates for my slides, for example. But here's the thing: because you're getting different templates from different people, it doesn't look cohesive. Right? So you're either spending a lot of time that you should not be spending on making everything look like it belongs together, or you're not, in which case your branding looks like it's all over the place and it doesn't look polished and professional. And so that may bother you just in terms of confidence and showing up. And it also may bother people who are like, oh, she doesn't look very put together, like that she doesn't look legit. And so that's the other thing. So it's piecemealing or spending way too much money right off the bat.
Yeah. So where is that? I mean, obviously this is a problem that you solve, right, with your service, but where, even kind of outside of that, like where is that sweet spot for somebody then, if they're starting out? Like what should the goal be if they're earlier in their journey? They're like, I'm not ready to invest $30,000 in a brand yet, but I still want something that looks really good and cohesive. Like what should our goals be when we're starting off?
Well, the best skill that you can master at that stage is becoming a really great creative director and becoming very aware of what assets your business needs, right? So most people don't know what they don't know. They don't know what they need. They think, okay, my branding is my logo, my fonts, my colors, and my website. And I'm like, and you're done. I'm like, no, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There are all these other things that you need. So being able to be proactive and go make a list of what are all the assets that your business is going to need based on what, actions you're going to take. If you're going to go out and start doing some speaking, or you want to build a podcast or whatever it is, make a list so you're not reactive, because that's where a lot of people waste a lot of time. They're like, I need this, now I have to go create it. And then they make some more motion and they're like, oh, now I need this other thing. And so you're constantly reacting to your graphic needs instead of proactively making a list of what you anticipate you will need. So that's one tip I would share. And then the tip about being a creative director is, if you're going to hire not a $30,000 designer, so probably a junior designer, someone who's a little bit more affordable, then it's going to fall on you to give them the creative direction. So you need to be able to explain very thoroughly what it is that you need. So you need to have the vision and explain it to the person. And then you need to be aware of what does that graphic need to have in order for it to work. So most junior designers are not experts in personal branding. they're mostly not experts in digital marketing. So they don't know how these assets are supposed to function, how they're supposed to convert. So it falls on you. So it's up to you to educate yourself on these things so that you can communicate properly to your designer. So if anyone listening has had an experience where they've had to write these mean emails where the graphic designer sends something and they're like, that is not at all what I had in mind.
Always a delicate moment, because my MO is like, I don't want to quote unquote hurt someone's feelings, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you see something and you're like, oh, how did that come
like you
across?
have no words besides
Yeah.
what part of clean design did you not understand? You know what I mean?
Right.
But the thing is these designers are not mind readers. So
Mm.
if you are frustrated with the design process with a designer that you may have hired, chances are, I'm sorry to say, it's your fault. It's because you're counting on them to do the heavy lifting, but they're not paid enough to do that heavy lifting. The heavy lifting is on you to do. They are executors and they will execute beautifully. That's their job, but you have to give them the creative direction. So creative direction. And what was the other one I said?
I was so caught up in the creative direction. Making a list. You make a list.
Making a list. Thank you. Being proactive
Yeah.
about the assets that you need and preparing.
Which I think, I appreciate too what you shared there towards the end of like, you know what, if you're not getting back what you want, it's your fault, because it really is kind of like what we all get to, where we all get to up level our mindset as whether you're, a sales professional, whether you're an entrepreneur, just taking that radical responsibility and communication for, okay, what is it? Gosh, I've been doing, I guess it's through NLP training. There's a couple different things I've been studying over the years through a certain company. And it's like, the meaning of the communication is whatever the person on the other end received it to be, heard it as. And so I think that can be challenging for our ego, but also helpful to remember, and really good as you're leading and growing your support team as well. So I think that's really, really helpful advice. And that was one of the things when I first started working with you, like I didn't realize there were so many different types of assets that I could use for my brand, everything from a speaker kit to a media kit to course slides, speaking slides, webinar slides. It's like, they're all different and it's just stuff you don't, and then, not to mention the social media assets. So that brainstorm list, I think, is such a good idea. I'm curious, Nadine, if maybe somebody has some branding in place already and they want to up level it, right? They're like, I'm still not quite ready to go all the way in and pay big bucks for someone, but what are like some really quick ways we can up level the look and feel of our brand and start to attract higher end clients with that?
That's a great question. I would say the first place to start is colors. Your color choices. So most of your design and how your design is received and interpreted comes from the colors that you choose. It's not the fonts, it's not the shapes, it's the colors, right? The colors are the most powerful brand element in your design that communicates the most important information. So if you want to kind of audit your branding, audit your colors. And so there's tons of resources online where you can go figure out, the meaning behind your colors and make sure that that meaning is aligned with what you're trying to put out there, right? So I would say the first place to start is really more introspective, right? Because a lot of people, when they want to, fix their visual identity or change their visual identity, they go straight into the design portion, and that's a big mistake. The place to start is looking on the inside and figuring out, okay, what is my brand and what is my energy as a person? What is my brand energy? And what is this vibe that I'm trying to create, this experience I'm trying to create and put out into the world? And once you have a clear vision of that, that's when you can go back and go, okay, you can audit your branding against that. Say, well, is my branding helping me communicate all of these things? Yes or no? If no, it's probably the colors. And it's like, well, what colors should I incorporate into my branding in order to communicate these things that I want to put out? And so one of the programs that I am developing right now and going to be launching soon is called the Color Workshop. And I know it sounds fun. It is fun. And I also offer color consultation. It's like basically like card reading, like where they flip the cards, but we're basically doing an energy reading of like, who are you as a person? And then we uncover the cards that match your personality, and then you find out what your colors are. So it's a blind test.
Okay.
I give you a bunch of cards that are black and white, and then you pick the words that are a match for you as a person that you connect with. And then we take the cover off the cards and you find out what your colors are. And
cool.
Why it's great is because you're not biased, right? You don't have any because a lot of us have preconceptions about colors, right? We may just not like a certain color because we've seen it and we just, didn't connect with it. Or we've seen a color used by somebody else that we don't like. And so we bring all that baggage in when we're trying to pick colors. And this is designed to remove that baggage. It's like you are going to pick your colors based on truths, not based on taste, and not based on trends, right? And so this exercise with everyone I've done it with has been extremely powerful. Lots of surprises. I've had people where, they came in, they were super sure what their brand colors were. They did the exercise and literally the first colors they eliminated, because it's a process of elimination, right? From 12 colors down to 3.
Okay.
The first colors they eliminated were the exact brand colors that they thought were theirs.
Yeah.
Right. And so again, just to answer your question, color is the most important part of your branding. So if there's anything you're going to change or analyze or figure out if it's the right fit, that is what you need to kind of hone in on.
And that is like the hardest piece. I remember when I first started She Sells, and so much of the brand was just kind of channeled initially. And I kind of just got this download for like, these are the colors and this is the thing. And it worked. But now as I look back, we just did a brand update, and, I was finally in a place where it made sense to bring someone on to do something at a higher level.
Yeah.
But until then, we've been kind of rolling with just what Elise channeled in her meditation. And I look back on it now and it's like, it's a lot of colors I loved, but I don't know that it communicated the best message or the best brand. So it's, to your point, it makes a huge impact. Like colors make a huge impact. And I think having some clarity on like what is really congruent with who you are as a person, especially if you're building something as a personal brand, like that's
and who you want to attract.
Speak to that for a minute.
Yeah, that is a very important part of this. So most people, just like you, pick their brands based on taste or based on a download that they had, right? They just colors fell from the ether and they're like, this is it.
But they did.
And that's one way of doing it, right? But and by the way, it's very important that you connect with your colors. So that is an important piece of it. But if you're the only one connecting with your colors, that's not going to work, because you're not building your website for you to go look at it and go, oh my God, my website is so pretty. Your graphics are not for you. You want to feel confident about them so that you're confident showing up in your branding and, getting yourself out there and sharing your stuff. But you have to pick your colors strategically based on your target audience and who you're trying to attract and the emotions that you're trying to trigger in those people. So is it trust? Is it warmth? Is it, kindness? What is it that you're trying to communicate to these people? And there are actual exact colors that will help you trigger those emotions and those feelings. And those colors you need to make sure that you include in your branding. So it might look like just using those colors, or it might look like marrying those colors that are attracting your ideal audience with those colors that you connect with on a personal level, and finding a mix of both.
Yeah, it's such a good reminder. Anytime I have someone brilliant in branding on the show, they always come back and talk about, like, remember, it's not about you, it's about your customer. It's your customer's experience. It's your customer's feelings. And it's, especially if we're building a personal brand, it can be easy to forget, but it really is so, so, so key. And that's something that, we'll link your media and your websites in the show notes, but I think that's something you've done such a good job of, and someone can go and literally like look at the copy and look at the positioning. Like it is your brand and your company, and it's still all about them. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so good, best practice there. So I want to take a moment and speak about, I want you to share a little bit more specifically about Digital Brand Kit. And then we've got a really cool offer for the audience. And if someone's been listening to my show for a while, they know I don't usually have people come on and do like a direct share of what they're doing. Nadine didn't ask you. I wanted her to come on and do this because I believe so much in the product and what she's building. So can you share a little bit more specifically about Digital Brand Kit, how it works? And then I've got one final question for you, and we'll tell people where to connect from there.
Sure. So the best way, and I can tell you, I spent months trying to come up with a description of what Digital Brand Kit is, because there really is nothing like it out there. And trust me, I've looked. But Digital Brand Kit is what I call, it's the first of its kind turnkey branding system solution that is made specifically for personal brands, and more specifically for women entrepreneurs. So basically, instead of, when you get to that place where you're like, okay, I need a visual identity for my brand, instead of going out there and either piecemealing it or hiring somebody expensive to do it for you, and then possibly waiting weeks, months for it to happen, you can get all the assets that your business needs. And I've proactively made a list of all those assets and created those assets for you. But you can download all of those assets that your business needs in one cohesive, beautiful design, and you get everything in one instant download.
Amazing. It's so exciting.
Yeah. So that's what it is. And inside Digital Brand Kit are 12 kits, right? And these 12 kits map to the 12 biggest graphic needs that you will have most likely in your business. It varies depending on what exactly you do, but your bases are covered. So for example, if you are doing any keynote speaking, there is a speaker kit in there. Inside the speaker kit, you will find beautiful slides for your speaking engagements, a actual speaker media kit, which you mentioned earlier. You will have a PDF download or a PDF handout that you can give to your audience at the end of your speech. So something to create those things. And so everything you need for your speaking is in that speaker kit. If you are thinking about launching a podcast, there is a podcast kit. The podcast kit will have thumbnails for your podcast, your branding. It will have graphics for you to share on social, graphics for you to create audiograms, all of the things that you need to post on Pinterest, etc. Everything you need to promote your podcast is in the podcast kit. So 12 kits. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can go to the website and check them out. But 12 kits that basically cover all of your graphic needs at every possible touch point that you may have with your customer. And that's how you create that cohesiveness that makes you look polished and professional.
Oh my gosh, they're so good. And you may have already said this, but if you didn't, because I know this was one of my first questions when I became a client, was like, everything is customizable, right? So is there still like a video that explains how to customize fonts and colors and make it your own branding?
Absolutely. There's an entire crash course I know people's time is precious, and I'm very respectful of people's time. So all the videos are less than 5 minutes long, typically 2 or 3 minutes, and they'll cover all of the things that you need to know in order to be able to customize all of these assets. It's PowerPoint, so it's pretty simple and intuitive. It's a very simple design tool. It's not complex like, Photoshop. Yeah. But it has all the friendly interface and intuitive interface of a tool like Canva, but it's got a lot more firepower. Like you can do a lot more with PowerPoint than you can with Canva. So, but yeah, there are videos that will show you how to customize everything. You can customize the colors. You can change anything, change the pictures. It's fully customizable. Yeah.
It's so good. And if you don't have PowerPoint, it's like $6.99 a month. Like it's not like, just go get it.
Yeah. It's the cheapest of all the subscriptions, definitely cheaper than Photoshop and cheaper than Canva. So yeah,
for sure.
And then I'll add, the other thing is there are 10 different design collections across 4 different brand seasons. And if you don't know what brand season you are, I have a quiz that will help you figure out what that is. So you just go in, answer a few questions, take this quiz, and it'll tell you what your brand season is. So it's spring, summer, fall, or winter. And then you get a brand report that will tell you what colors we recommend and what templates we recommend based on your brand season. And so you're able to make those decisions that way and kind of explore all the options.
It's like all of the head banging against a wall that someone would normally do with their branding, you've helped to eliminate. So
it's been a labor of love. I've been building this for 4 years. So just slowly building it. And I really wanted to create something that would make it easy, because I know how hard this is for so many people that they get stuck right here. They get stuck at the starting line. They're not able to even launch anything or put themselves out there because they're stuck trying to figure out their branding. And I want to eliminate that. Like, go make things happen. Go do it. Here's all the tools that you need. Just go make the dream happen. So that's what this is for.
And it's such a gift, because like I said, I've seen part of the behind the scenes, and I know how hard you worked on this, and I know all the different moving pieces. And so it's such a great opportunity. And so we've got a code for our listeners, which, from what I understand from what you shared earlier, it's not common to get a discount on this. So I'm excited to offer this, right? So, okay. So what is it? digitalbrandkit.com/Elise. And then if you use the code Elise, 10% off your purchase.
That's correct.
So digitalbrandkit.com/Elise. And then you just use the code Elise10. You get 10% off whatever you buy. So yay. Merry Christmas. Happy birthday. Give yourself a discount and enjoy. So with that, Nadine, I want to ask just one final question, and then we'll tell people where to go to connect with you from here. So one of the things I so appreciate about you is you're on the journey, just like all of our listeners are too. And so I know you've had your own entrepreneurial journey. It's something that, we're all growing in it as we go. But looking back, what's the number one piece of advice you would have given to younger Nadine when she was just starting out that she really needed to hear?
Oh, that's a good question. I did not have time to prepare for this. So
I didn't give you that one ahead of time. So that's intentional.
All right. Oh, okay. Yeah. I would say, this might sound cheesy, but it's true. It's trust the process. If you ask me, when I first started, my first company was We Are Visual. This is my second company, Digital Brand Kit. But when I started We Are Visual, I wanted to see the whole staircase. I felt like I needed to have a very clear vision of what the end thing was going to be. And that got me into trouble, because I thought I was going to build this traditional design agency with an office and cubicles and, and all people working there. And it was just going to be this big thing. And I went, full speed ahead into that vision, and just hit a wall so hard and knocked me off my feet for years. And it's because I built myself a golden cage. I escaped a 9-to-5 job and built myself another 9-to-5 job. And I was miserable. And so if I had just let the company evolve by responding to the market and seeing what people needed from me and letting myself figure things out and build the vision as I go, I would have, saved myself a lot of heartache. And so that's what I've been doing with Digital Brand Kit now. I learned my lesson. I trust the process now. I let my customers tell me what they need, and I build my business based on what they need and what makes me happy. And I'm not trying to figure it out. I'm trusting the process.
It speaks to my soul. That's the whole theme of what we do and teach and believe at She Sells, is that alignment piece. Even if it worked for somebody else, is it aligned with you? And is it going to make you, not just is it going to make you money, but is it going to make you happy? And really trusting that. So that's beautiful. So just to recap, digitalbrandkit.com/Elise. You can use the code Elise10 for a discount on whatever it is you choose to purchase. And then Nadine, if someone wants to connect with you on social or follow you, what's the best way to get in touch?
Yeah, I would go to NadineHanafi.com. So that's NadineHanafi.com. And then I'm on Instagram. I'm happy to DM at Nadine.Hanafi. And yeah, I'll be happy to connect.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Nadine. This was so fun. And
Thank
uh,
you.
I'm such a believer in your work. I'm such an appreciator of your work. And it was really fun to be able to share this with our community as well.
You're amazing. Thank you so much, Elise. Appreciate you.
Lots of love. And all right, to you, my listener, go take advantage of that special deal that you can get. You're just going to be so excited to check out Nadine's work, to invest in up-leveling your brand, your business with Digital Brand Kit. It really is one of my favorite entrepreneur tools I've ever come across, which is why I wanted to have Nadine come on the show today. So as always, thank you so much for being a member of the She Sells community. I will see you on our next episode. Bye.